we'll move into the next portion of our evening for a called meeting for the discussion of cigarette tax in the town of Iron Gate. This is a called meeting in response to requests that were made at last month's council meeting to discuss the cigarette tax. Present for this meeting is Councilperson Randy Unruh, Councilperson Kawana Persinger, Councilperson James Mays, Councilperson Vice Mayor Richard Erskine, Councilperson E.R. Gilbert, and Councilperson Donald Hall, and Town Clerk Treasurer Wendy Biggs. Right now, the cigarette tax in the town of Iron Gate is 20 cents per pack. And the way that breaks down to other localities in the area, Allegheny County has no cigarette tax. Town of Clifton Forge has a 4 cent per pack cigarette tax. The 20 cents per pack cigarette tax was instituted in 2012, and at that time it was doubled from 10 cents a pack to 20 cents a pack. The request came from the owners of the Rusty Hinge. They are the only retailer in town that sells cigarettes. The request, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak. The request is in direct response to the fact that the climate has changed in the convenience store arena in the area in the last year or two, and the competition is more, I guess, more rampant than it was at one time. And their request is an effort to be able to keep their cigarette costs to the consumer reasonably priced to be able to compete with the other retailers in the area. Just for information, in the fiscal year 2017-2018, the town received $17,460 from cigarette stamps. 6 rolls at $2,910 each. So far this year, and I think it's going to pan out to the end of the year, it's got the exact same figure, $17,460 in revenue generated. Now, I don't want it to be misconstrued that is $17,460 of clear profit for the town, because it's not. Because at one point in time we had to pay for the printing and manufacturing of those stamps. Okay? So the way that it works right now, the wholesaler that the retailers buy their cigarettes from have to buy the stamps from the town of Iron Gate. And they put the cigarette stamps on each individual pack before they deliver them to the retailer. Every pack of cigarettes that the retailer has in their store is required by the code to have 2 stamps on it. State of Virginia cigarette tax, town of Iron Gate cigarette tax. The town, at its discretion, can at any time, as you know, go in the retailer and inspect the cigarettes, all the cigarettes in the store, to make sure that the appropriate stamps are there. I think that's happened one time since I've been on town council. There were no issues at the time, and really don't anticipate any issues. It's part of the code. Unfortunately, from where I'm looking at things here, we were too far down the line this year in our budget process to recoup $8,000 or $9,000 in revenue if we cut the cigarette tax in half. But it's not up to me. I don't have a vote. It's up to these folks right here. So that's where I am. I do have a compromise that I would like to present to council But before I do that, I'd like to give you an opportunity to say anything that y'all would like to say.
Again, like last time, we want, since we are the only business in town, we want the town to do well. I mean, with the budget concerns, I absolutely understand, and what we are gonna see is if we can even, right now, before Allen used to be, our competitor, so the competition was within the town, but now our competitors are either Eagle Rock or the Exxon station that's right on the Clifton Ford side. So right now what happens is, when customers come in, and this is a normal trend, if we see cigarettes, either cigarette packs in their pockets, we normally ask them, hey, if they come and get gas, we check with them, and they're like, no, it's you guys are too high, we buy from here or that. So just to be fair with them, with the customers, to offer them the right price, if we can even get to match with what Clifton Ford is. I know Eagle Rock's nothing, they don't have any tax, but even if we can match it with them, that will give us that flexibility to not worry about it and go from there, where it makes things a lot easier for us. And I think Starlet and Eddie and them, they directly interact with a lot more customers than I get to, but I think it's about the same comments that people have made. Again, people love coming to the town of Iron Gate, people love coming to Rusty Hinge, and we want to offer the services that we do to everyone. You'll be surprised when I say this, but back in 2012 or 10 years from now, it used to be where cigarettes were one of the more profitable items in a convenience store. Gas has never been a profit, it's just a service that you offer. Now, you'll be surprised when I say we probably make more off of lottery commission than we do of cigarette packs, like selling cigarettes, because the cigarette companies have started going up a lot, overall, everything else, the competition and everything's increased a lot. So because of that, we, right now on our regular packs, we have a margin of 25 cents, if that. And that's the reason we are not able to completely absorb the 20 cents tax to compete with the other localities. So if you guys can, I understand the budget concerns, but whatever you guys can do, we certainly will appreciate that.
Charlotte, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, with the customers coming in, like he said, and they take and, we'll say, well, do you need anything else? No, I got my cigarettes in Clifton or somewhere. So yeah, that's a big concern, because we're not helping everybody that we should be helping. Like, they'll come in and buy food. As you know, Wendy, our food sales have been out of the roof lately. And, we just like to have a little cut on the cigarettes so we can provide that too, instead of our customers going somewhere else and getting them.
One of the things that your dad kept coming back to last month when he was talking was the freedom or ability or flexibility, if you will, to be able to buy your cigarettes somewhere other than being limited to one wholesaler.
Right.
So one of the things, and I've mentioned this to Starlet, and I think she's come back with a reason that it won't work, but I'm going to put it out on the floor anyway because I have to.
A new station alert has arrived.
And that is, if it's not council's decision this year to change the cigarette tax, would it help if council would consider and possibly make a change to allow you to put the stamps on them yourself, and you can buy them wherever you want to buy them?
It certainly will make it easier, because again, other than the prices with the distributor, the other problem we run into is, let's say if we get the delivery on Friday. So if we ran out of something, or if we didn't realize or forget to order something, Saturday if we run out, we have to wait till next Friday because at other locations I can, run to Sam's Club or something and pick up a few items to bring if something ran out. But right now, so that definitely will give us the flexibility.
I don't want from where I sit to come across as we don't want to work with you, because we certainly do. We enjoy having you here. We want you here. We want you to stay here. We just have time frames and constraints that we're hemmed into, and it's ultimately up to council what they decide to do. But I think that we're probably too far along in the budget process this year to take that drastic amount of a decrease.
He going for a motorcycle ride.
So, but right now, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions and comments on the floor.
Yeah, and I certainly want to add, I mean, again, as long as we have had Rusty Hinge, compared to, I don't want to say anyone was bad before, but compared to the past administration, the council and you yourself have done a fabulous job. The development that we have seen in the town, when we interact with people, that's how it has come across that you guys have done a great job. And like I said, I don't want to run, it definitely is an income for the town. I just want to see if there are any other ways that we can reduce that to help us out by the end of the day. The town needs to function properly, and I understand that, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jimmy?
I don't smoke. I don't care whether they pay 20 cents or whatever.
Gene, you have any questions or comments? Gary? Randy?
Would it be feasible to try, say, a 3 months reduction or something on the tax to see how, if his sales would go up, would that be an incentive would make up the difference in cutting the tax a little bit? I mean, if he's not selling them now and you cut the tax and his cigarette sales picks up, then maybe that would compensate for the difference in the tax.
Yeah.
I mean, I would see it might work that way. I don't know what would or not.
And I mean, I want to be, if you don't mind me adding, if at some point we end up going to 4 cents to match Clifton Ford or anything, I'm not going to say I understand it, that my sales are going to go 5 times to meet the sales. But I do believe, the food sales will go up, which is a small income for the town out of that. And the other, from what I understand, I think out of the state taxes on all the other items, there is a small portion that the town gets. Am I understanding? So that it will reflect on the rest of the sales. I guarantee you. I don't want to say it will be 5 times, but it definitely will reflect on that.
Right, and I think you understand, you're not saying that your cigarette sales are going to increase to the point that it's going to completely offset any reduced income that we would have from the...
And we are, I'm very supportive in terms of beer, alcohol, and cigarettes, but as you know, from 1st of July, they're raising the cigarette tax, or not the cigarette tax, the age. Which, again, I'm very supportive of that. It's a good thing that we are, with our kids and everything, it's gonna be a better, but thinking on the business aspect, it's gonna hurt us over there also, where now, we are cutting our current clientele that we have, we are cutting out of that also. So all of those, and not to say it with name, but Loves, they, again, like I mentioned last time, they are a very big company, and and their cigarette prices right now, they are 30-40 cents cheaper than what we are. it certainly plays a point that they are new and they're trying to establish their business in the area, so they're gonna stay that way for some time. But overall, it's, you know, that's also kind of hurting us right now. So all of that, I mean, whatever you are, I definitely won't mind if there is something, what Mr. Randy's suggesting.
Anything else, Randy?
No, it's just like I say, I mean, that was a ridiculous price to set back there then anyway. That much when, especially when Clifton Forge was at 4 and the county was at nothing. Of course, I know why they done it was because if you didn't do it then, you wouldn't be able to do it, or some rigmarole is what the former mayor said when they passed it, or raised it, whatever they done. See, that's why county don't have a tax, because they didn't do it quick enough or something. So they said. That's all I got to say. I'm in favor of cutting it back some.
Kawana?
No, sir.
Would you like to address, Kawana, if you would, this from a budgetary, since you sat in on all of the budget meetings?
I understand where the business is coming from, but I think it's almost too late in the game for us. We've already published the budget. We've already figured out what we need and hopefully where it's coming from, and I think it's too late in the game to make any changes. But that doesn't mean that we cannot take things into consideration, you know, for next budget, or cut the price down next year. But I'm not sure that we can do anything for this year because I think it's too late.
Jimmy?
It's rough questions. I mean, that's gonna hurt us. We ain't got it either.
You mean,
If we cut it,
anything else? Richard?
What you suggested there about allowing the store to acquire the cigarettes at Sam's or some other distributor, how would we work that as far as them getting the stamps to put on the cigarettes?
They would buy them from us instead of the wholesaler buying them from us.
Right.
See, right now, their wholesaler, which I think y'all deal primarily with laymen,
Yeah, I understand that.
comes here and buys a roll of cigarette stamps. And then they put the stamps on the packs of cigarettes.
Right, I understand
before
that.
they deliver them to them.
Right.
You know, and that may not work. I understand it may be cost prohibitive for y'all to have to buy the machine or whatever it takes to put them on there.
Right now, what Clifton uses, they are the stick-on stamps, so you don't require a machine. It's just you take the stamp, put it on like a sticker. It's a sticker, and I don't want the town to have to spend a lot of money to go through that process. You know, if there's gonna be some kind of a bigger solution that's gonna be looked at, I don't want to do it in a rush. And with the budget, I understand. So
But ours, I think now are heat
correct,
stamps that you have to have a machine.
yeah, a machine,
To put them on.
right.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I was
And
trying to...
I just wanted to clear that, get that out of the open too.
Right.
Well, the reason that county, the legislature in Richmond has not voted to allow the county to charge a cigarette tax. That's the reason they don't have one.
Right. That and
They vote on this once a year about the county, and they've never passed it.
yeah,
The
correct.
county still has no authority to tax
There
tobacco
are a few
products.
counties in northern Virginia area which have got an exception, I guess. Right.
I hadn't heard about them. I knew that in our area, they still didn't allow them to do that.
Right. Waterdock County, I think, is trying to
Yeah.
get something done, but there are a few counties that have an exception
Okay.
for it, but like the towns and cities can do where they do not need a permission.
Yeah, I know that.
And I think back then, the previous mayor, I think,
Well, the reason the Iron Gate went to it was to keep Allegheny County from getting the revenue from the town. Because they would have been, if it ever passed, Allegheny County could start charging the tax. And they would pick up the revenue from the town. But since we already have a tax, then the county can't tax the cigarettes sold in.
if the county still comes back with a tax, it will be added on, and they will still get their part, so it will be a
But
3 stamp
There has to
system.
be 3 stamps on the back.
Yeah, it'd be 3.
Yeah, so I think back then from, when we had talked to Alan before, the primary reason that he had given us was the water tank, but again,
Yeah. Well, we need to look into possibility of them, what it would cost, what the cost would be if we allowed you to change the stamp and use the stamps like Clifton Forge has got.
right.
We need to investigate that part of it. Right now, I don't see any way that we could change it because of the position we're in at the time-wise. But it's not saying that we can't, a couple months down the road, we couldn't change the type of stamp we're using.
Right. And I mean, like I said, I want to go for a permanent solution, and I want to make sure that the town is financially stable before, I don't want to get anything done in a rush, so.
Well, that's what I say, that, it's not saying in a couple months, after the budget is in place that we couldn't change the type stamp we're using.
Right. And then in the long term, if there is a way where, we are either gonna lower it or eliminate whatever down the road,
Yeah.
I think that will help us a lot.
Next year we could look at it to see what we could do.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
ER?
No, I agree with Quan and Richard. I mean, it's a little late now, but we'll look into it next go around.
Donnie?
I agree with Richard.
The thing is, we really wouldn't even have to wait until next budget time. We wouldn't even have to wait till next year. We could actually, if the finance committee and council is willing, we could go ahead and get the budget approved and in place for the July 1st deadline that we have. And then we could revisit the numbers. We can always amend the budget after it's in place. How many rolls of cigarettes do we have, Wendy?
There's quite a few back there. I mean, probably, I would say at least another 15 to 20.
And the other thing, do you have any idea how much it costs the town to have those printed?
I would have to go back and look it up,
And see, even just quickly doing some numbers, if it was reduced by half, and I'm just,
Right.
we're looking at $8,700 in reduction, and we'd have to absorb that somewhere else. It's definitely something that needs to be considered and something that needs to be looked at. I'm just not convinced, and I'm not trying to make an excuse, I'm just not convinced that the timing right at this very minute is sufficient for it to happen before the new budget goes into place.
No, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm fine with what you are suggesting, and I just hope, when Alan was there, he said it will be a year or two till we get this paid. I just don't want to keep dragging it on. And like I said, you guys have done whatever you guys have promised, so I have a lot more hope this time. So down the road, I just hope it's brought back up for discussion and something is done at that point.
Well, and I think from what I'm hearing from everybody up here, that you've definitely gotten their attention and brought it to a lot of aspects of it to light that, to be honest with you, probably hadn't even really been considered before.
Right.
So it's honestly, I think it's a good thing that y'all made the initiative to come and present this to council, so that everybody has all of the information from both sides. We know where you're coming from your revenue side of things. You know where we are right now with our budget side of things, and everybody's kind of on a level playing field, if you will, with the information that we have.
Right.
So, what am I hearing council say? Am I hearing that we want to go ahead and present the budget as written with the understanding that we're going to revisit this and possibly come back with some more information or possible changes in the next month or so? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Well, if we've already done the budget and we've already accounted for that money coming in, and then we go back and revisit the budget, then how are we going to make it balance?
You can always amend your budget.
Yeah.
I know, but I mean, we're counting on X amount of dollars to come in as an income. And if you cut that down, if we revisit it and then you cut that amount down, then...
Well, I understand what you're saying.
I don't think I'm saying it right, but I know what I mean.
The question that you're asking is, how can we absorb into the budget that we've already got set a loss in revenue from a revenue source that we were counting on being X number of dollars?
Correct. If we're expecting $100 and you want to cut it and we're only expecting 80, where's that other $20 going to come in?
And it would have to be just like your budget at home or in any business. We're pretty fortunate, and I'm not an advocate either way here, so don't misunderstand me, that we bring in $17,400 a year in cigarette tax. But something could happen, and maybe this year or the next fiscal year coming up, they only sell half of the cigarettes that they've been selling. And we're going to have to absorb that income from somewhere else in the budget anyway.
Correct.
So, the money the revenue we're counting on from the cigarette tax stamps is not a guaranteed revenue.
Correct.
But our water rates and our sewer rates and things of that nature are guaranteed revenue. We know that we're going to bill our citizens for that, and we know that we're going to collect that money. But the sales tax and the food tax and every other tax that we receive stipends from are fluctuating amounts, and they're different every month and they're different every year. Mm-hmm. And best case scenario, when we make the budget, as you know, we look at those as possibly, hopefully staying the same or increasing a little bit over what they were last year. And I'm not saying it can happen.
Right, I understand.
All I'm saying is, I think that they deserve the commitment that we will take a look at it and see if we can possibly make it happen.
Correct.
And From what I'm hearing from just about everybody, I think that's what everybody up here is saying too. Right?
Correct.
Yeah,
All right, who wants to make the motion?
I'll make a motion.
All right.
That we revisit this, the finance committee and council revisit this in the next 2 to 3 months to see what can be done.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Councilperson Randy Unruh for council, for the finance committee and budget committee to revisit the revenue that is currently generated from the cigarette tax at 20 cents per pack, and consider a possible reduction in
Yes.
that tax.
Or a reduction of the stamp thing, like I said, that.
That is the tax.
Yeah.
In the next, what do you want to say, 60 days or 90 days? Or
90 days, that ought to give you plenty of time, shouldn't it?
I would think. And the motion was seconded by Councilperson Vice Mayor Richard Erskine. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Unruh?
Yes.
Ms. Persinger?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mays? Mr. Erskine?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Okay. Is that good?
Yeah, that's, and just a small thing I want to add. Again, just look at it in a way like you mentioned that that revenue is not, fixed, that we are gonna get that. And what we want to make sure, at least in the last month, that we have seen in our gas sales, the drop in number of the gas sales because of, laws opening up and East Coast changing ownership. The gas prices are reflective on the sign directly, so people see that instantly. Cigarettes, it's again, gas is a service that we provide so we can bring people in. Loves and them, they know that we don't want to get too far behind where people start realizing the gas price, then they start comparing the cigarette prices. Right now it's in the early stages where if we are selling $500 worth of cigarettes, it's not going to change to 200 in a day. But once people notice, at the end of the day, the overall revenue is gonna. So if we can cut our prices, we can do whatever from our side, and then we can get some help on the tech side. We can keep that number around the same.
Thank you for coming.
No, we appreciate you guys again for everything that you guys have done for the town. So.
Yeah. And we, like I said, we're glad you're here. We appreciate you being here. So.